Hi, I'm Sydney Bowles here with Dr. Eric Conti for a monthly superintendent update. Dr. Conti, how are you?
Doing very well, Sydney.
It is August. We're headed towards a new school year. What are you doing to prepare both emotionally and literally?
Summers are actually a very busy time in central office because we have a very limited window to get all the physical spaces ready, repaired, updated. So Bob Cuna, Director of Operations, our maintenance staff, custodians, our summer custodial help, have been working really hard to get all that work done. So very happy with the progress of the buildings and sort of getting them up and ready. I think hiring, our principals have been in, we've had many teachers come in volunteering their time to sit on interview committees, panels, trying to bring the best and brightest into Burlington, because we're only as good as the educators that we hire. So it's really important for us to do that. Obviously, trying to bring in talented and diverse staff coming in as we continue to make progress in that area. I also think we have transportation routes to plan, working on that. We're trying to get those routes done earlier than we typically have, to get those out earlier. One of the things we did was to put a survey out in the spring asking families if they're not planning on using transportation, because we always have to make adjustments the first 2 weeks, and maybe we can make more of those adjustments earlier. So a lot is happening.
How's the hiring going?
I think the hiring's going well. I had a check-in with most people this week, and I think there's always last-minute changes, but I think the bulk of our hiring is completed. I think we are staffed up in most of the critical positions, I would say, that we needed, and we're ready to go. Many of our instructional assistants are seeking teaching opportunities, and they may be leaving for teaching opportunities, which we certainly support them in doing. And so we may need to start backfilling some of our support positions. But I think by and large, our hiring has gone well.
Awesome. One of the big positions that was hired recently was Dr. Lisa Chen, our new assistant superintendent. She started July 1.
Yes, officially.
And she was around
Yes.
before that. You could really tell that she was doing as much as she could to sort of get up to speed. And I think it was the most recent school committee meeting where she was presenting an entry plan. It was pretty robust. So walk us through some of her thinking about that adjustment period and getting up to speed.
Well, Dr. Chen, Lisa, comes to us with an incredible amount of talent. So she's not learning the educational aspects of her job. She knows those very well. She has exceptional talent in curriculum instruction, supervision, leadership. All those skills she has and has developed over a very a career that's been lauded in places. I think what her focus has been on initially was to get to know Burlington and to get to know people here and to develop relationships. So I think a large part of her entry plan is just talking with people and meeting with people and saying, why are you in Burlington, and tell me what you like about it. Tell me what you think some of the challenges are. Tell me what you liked, what the district has done. Tell me what you think the district can improve on. So I think that's been a large part of her entry plan. And I think she's been very busy, and it's been. I think there's been new energy inserted into the central office, and I've really appreciated having her here.
That's awesome. I remember at that school committee meeting, you said something about, she started July 1 and everyone expects her to be like fully in it by July 2, or all the problems to be solved or whatever. I thought that was it's a lot of people to get to know. It's a lot of dynamics to sort of wrap your hands around.
Right, and I think, again, that's the reason for her entry plan, is to almost sort of say that we need an on-ramp and to give people some expectation that those relationships are critical to develop. Would really love her to spend a lot of the fall out in schools and getting to know, again, principals and the staff that she's leading. And so part of the entry plan, again, is to say, let's maybe hold off on some of these decisions until January. Like, let's give her a chance to get to know people. Again, it's not the technical skills she needs. She has those. It's how to apply those technical skills in a Burlington culture, and then how to best support people. Because I think one of the things that attracted me most to Dr. Chen is our agreement that the central office role is one of support. So that idea of servant leadership, and again, the work of schools is done in classrooms, and our job is really to support that work in classrooms. And I think she needs to talk to people who are in those classrooms.
Sure. Okay, I want to switch to something that's been going on with the Elementary School Building Committee. This is the committee that's in charge of working with the MSBA to figure out what's going to be the future of the Fox Hill building. The Pine Glen School is also maybe involved in that, depending on what path the committee chooses to go in, the town chooses to go in. Just a couple of nights ago, as of this taping, that committee voted to ask the select board for a non-binding referendum, meaning everyone in town is going to vote on what design they want for that building. Again, it's a non-binding vote, but it will give a sense for where the town is and how what there might be support for moving forward. You, if I'm remembering correctly, voted against that decision to have a non-binding vote. Tell me why.
Can you show me the referendum?
Not yet.
So I think that's primarily why. So to be fully transparent, I did meet with Paul Sagarino, Melissa Massardo, who's chair of the building committee, ahead of time. I did express support for the idea of a non-binding resolution. So it's not unheard of. I just wasn't feeling like we had enough conversation about what the referendum would say, the wording of it, for me to feel comfortable supporting it. So I do believe everyone's intentions here are good. I do think Mr. Sagarino was trying to support the project moving forward as best he could, as is Ms. Massardo, in whatever capacity the project is moving forward. And again, I initially was supportive of a non-binding resolution, so I want to be clear on that.
Okay.
I was uncomfortable voting to support something that I hadn't seen, because I could give you two versions of a referendum that would end up in for different things. If it's more of a taking sort of the community's temperature on costs of building projects with both schools and other general government needs, police station, park and rec fields. Is it solely going to be, do we have 4 elementary schools, 4 on 3 sites, 4 on 4 sites? I mean, I just think we need to have more conversation about it. So I'm not against the idea of getting input. I just want to make sure about what it is, and I don't. So that's all. So I'm not settled on it, and I just want to make sure that I'm open-minded, and my opinion sort of did shift on that, and I'm feeling like our conversations are making progress.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm misunderstanding, it sounds like your thinking was a little bit that this was voting to ask the select board for a referendum was putting the cart before the horse in a way, that we didn't know what the referendum was going to say, so how can I support it, was kind of your thinking. But it sounds like maybe that's shifted to what?
I think my thinking did shift, but again, I guess what I wanted to say is I don't think the idea of a referendum sort of came out of the blue. I was part of those conversations, and I think I supported it. I think the topic of the referendum, how it's worded, the focus of it, and I don't think we should be determining educational program through referendum, for instance, but there may be other aspects of this project or the town in general where a referendum would be helpful. If there are debt exclusion votes that are needed, one could argue that a debt exclusion vote in and of itself is a referendum. So I just think we need to have more conversations about it. I think I need to be clearer about it, and ultimately I would need to see the language that I was approving before I voted to approve it. But I don't want you to think my no vote was I was completely against the idea from the beginning.
Sure, yeah.
I was not, and I think we're trying to work as collaboratively as we can. And if there's a shortcoming in this, is I haven't spent enough time communicating Again, with Paul Sagarino in particular, and I need to take more responsibility for doing that. And I think he is trying to manage lots of different needs across the town, and I think the financial aspects of this are primarily what he's managing, and I think he's done a great job of that. So again, he's exceptionally talented. We need to spend more time communicating.
This is happening really fast. We haven't, I think, December to submit or to have sort of our final plan picked. That's soon. That's a couple of months.
I think we have to pick sort of some configuration
Right.
sort of needs, and then the design goes from there. So
Right. So it's not the final design.
No,
it's sort of
it's there's a path, there's a process that we're following, and it's really fall of 28. So there's 5 years, and that includes construction and everything else. So there's some time, but yeah, for 2023 by calendar year's end, we really need to pick a direction, whether again it's going to be a combined school or a school that is that allows for 4 sort of individual elementary schools.
Okay, so this is something that we'll be watching. This will come. The vote. The request did pass by, I think it was 8-3 at the school building committee meeting. So this will go to the select board, and then they will vote on whether or not to have a non-binding referendum vote.
I believe that's the process.
Yeah.
I think we're meeting on it tomorrow.
Okay.
I think there's some technicalities sort of with
Sure.
that as well. And again, I think that Sydney, I have strong opinions on this, but I'm really trying to allow the process to take place.
Yeah.
I think I do have a vote. I think my opinions will be sort of more forthcoming, sort of because we are getting close to December. But I do think it's important that we hear from all parts of the community. And I do think, from my perspective, this is both a short and long-term type of decision, because the schools that we're using now, some of them are 40, 50, 60 years old. So this is a multi-generational decision. It's about the character of Burlington. It's about the culture of Burlington, and I think those are important conversations to have. I believe we can put a quality educational program with the talented. We said the teachers are most important. Whether it's a 10,000 student school or a 100 student school, I think we would focus on putting students in front of talented educators.
So this is something we can revisit. We will be revisiting over
time.
yeah. But another big thing has been happening recently, which is the girls softball team has just been getting tremendous accolades for their win, their state championship win. They were at Fenway. They were at the State House. What's it been like for you to watch them receive this attention?
Again, I'm always proud. I think our coaches do a great job. I think that Kristen Farrell, the head coach, Burlington family, Mr. and Mrs. Mahoney are also very proud. I met them at Fenway. She was coach of the year as well for the softball in her division. So I think as a community we do best when we lead with our students, and our students are great ambassadors. And I think that that team, the softball team, has done a great job. I'd be remiss, though, to also say I think we had 5 state championship teams in the spring, and track was part of it, and we had a lot of our athletes received lots of accolades. So softball team, tremendous job. I think we've had, again, other state champs, and what we've really tried to focus on is looking at, again, quality of coaches that we have, opportunities for kids. The school district and community continues to support participation in athletics without fees, which is really important. And then we started a year ago talking about, to all of our athletes before every season, about competing with character. And that doesn't mean you compete less aggressively. It doesn't mean that you're not focused on winning, but it really means that the character part of participation is really important, because you are representing your families, the school, your coach, and the community. And I think no team, represented competing with character better than our girls softball team.
Dr. Conti, thank you so much for coming in this month. As always, I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It's been the superintendent update for this month. Thanks for tuning in.